Hello and welcome to another edition of Auto and Operator. I'm your co-host Derek, going to run you through the Rain Guard Water Sealer 600. That is a classic IndyCar race title, if I do say so myself. Wow, this race definitely topped Indianapolis in terms of wrecks and carnage and just unfortunate incidents, really. All right, let's run through this. All right, so we got going. Everyone's acting like this is going to be a single groove race. I don't know why everyone was thinking that. After watching the practice quals, yes, they're running one groove then, but there's no way. I think it's hilarious that people, even drivers, thought it would become a Phoenix-like race. No way. Someone's going to try the high line, and someone will keep trying it until it works. And guess what? It did work. Now, yes, we didn't get super wide. It certainly wasn't going to be how it was last year, which was 3-4 wide, just because of the new surface, obviously, and the questionable tires. But people were making stupid moves. The only person that seemed to be able to make these incredible moves while keeping the car under himself was Tristan Vautier. He was doing incredible. And, of course, Jones got up there, too, by the end of the race. I think he was running sixth. Was it sixth at one point? Sixth or seventh, right there with Michael Elation. And I was so happy for both of those guys. They were keeping it clean. Jones, of course, he was keeping it clean. He's kept it clean all year. But I was really glad Elation was staying out of trouble, and he was in the position to sort of scrap at the end. Early on, it was Tristan making one heck of an impression. He kicked Charlie Kimball's butt. I mean, you knew he would get eaten up, right? I was upset he got pulled because that just validated him being in the series to some extent. But honestly, you could attribute it directly to Scott Dixon having set up the car during the test, and he sort of hung in there. But again, it was inevitable. Something went wrong, and and there it was with the oil problem. Apparently, it was spewing all over everyone. Ed Carpenter had an in-car where he was wiping the oil off of his visor. Alexander Rossi, very unfortunate crash. He got squeezed. Dixon came up on the inside. He was totally there. I don't know if that one was anyone's fault. Now, I think someone more experienced could have held that. I'm sure he learned a lot from that, unfortunately, and I was really bummed because, he was one of my picks to be up there, and he certainly had pace. So it's a real shame that he wasn't there at the end. One of those things that makes IndyCar look amateur-ish is these silly pit lane incidents. I understand that it's tight and it's not easy, but it's just annoying when that sort of stuff happens. Elio Castroneves ends up in the wall. It's unfortunate, his luck isn't getting any better. It's been 3 years without a win, and as I've said before, unfortunately, nothing comes together. It's sort of like Charlie Kimball. Actually, no, it's not. Charlie's way worse, but he'll always be there, and then it's inevitable something will take him out of contention. It's not a matter of if, but when, and the 500, he had a shot, and then that didn't happen. It was history defying. Sato should have crashed out again because that's what Sato does, but he didn't. And it was almost like he didn't because he was fighting Elio, and Elio has to have the worst luck. So Sato must keep it together to beat him, because it's Elio Castroneves and he can't seem to put together a win. Moving on to that restart, Ed Carpenter with a heck of a save. Not much to say about that. Tristan came down on him a little bit there, and I think Carpenter did sort of a knee-jerk reaction as well as contact. There was contact, but I don't know if that contact really caused him to spin or if it was the reaction to it. Which is a bummer for him. Again, he had some pretty good pace, and he was trying to hang in there. And now we move on to the big one. It's been obvious since I first saw it whose fault it was. And no, Townsend Bell, it wasn't Mikel Elation's fault, for crying out loud. I mean, he is my guy. I'm a big fan of him. But for crying out loud, I'll even admit when he's done something wrong, Phoenix, that was his fault. He took out, 6 of the field. That was his fault. This was not his fault. I'm going to put some of the blame on Mikhail Elation there because Hinch didn't have enough room to correct after Tony hit him. What? There's no correcting at 220 miles an hour. There is no correction. If Mikhail was there or not, Hinch wouldn't have saved Kanaan slapping him. Townsend must have some sort of love affair with Tony Kanaan. I mean, of course you respect him, but come on, own up to it. It's not Elation's fault that he was there independently taking a risk for going 3 wide. If he would have screwed up, he wouldn't have affected anyone. He would have went straight into the wall, and that's that. But what happened was Tony Kanaan came from the far left of the track. During the straight, you could choose your line, and then you have to stick to it. I mean, that's how racing works. So you choose a line. If you move your line during mid-corner, it always spells disaster usually, especially on ovals. So he went way down left, chose a line, and then came up like a full lane and just ran into Hinch. And Hinch, being smart, didn't just try and run Mikhail up the track because he would have done the same thing to Mikhail. So he was trying to trust Kanaan that he would freaking stop, but he didn't. And he just hit him. Hinch somehow missed Mikhail, but he smacked Tristan, and then Tristan smacked Mikhail, and man, what a mess ensuing. Absolute mess. Jones almost got away with it, slammed on his brakes, but was keeping it under control. Then he was hammered by J.R. Hildebrand. Moving on, Joseph's stupid crash. I saw that happen. I was like, no, Joseph, no. And then he just smacked it, and he owned up to it, He owned up to it right away, like that was my bad. About 100 laps ago-ish, we started turning into NASCAR. We didn't want tires to blister, even though it wasn't attributed that that was causing any crashes, but we didn't want that to happen. So what we did is we kept everyone on fresh tires the rest of the race. So that way, there's basically no mercy, and everyone's going gung-ho the whole time. Talk about contributing to pack racing. As a newcomer to the sport, like in 2015, that's my first pack race I saw. I was in awe. I thought it was awesome and epic. I'm like, man, this is incredible. I'm sort of a veteran fan of the sport now, and I realize this is incredibly dangerous. And the danger will always be there, but like that sort of racing is insane. And it's not if it happens, it's when. Because if someone didn't check up Hinch, like Kanaan just smashed into him, someone was going to make a mistake. And someone could get seriously hurt. I agree with Sebastian Bourdais. He recently had an interview with motorsport.com. We got to acknowledge it. Yes, it's exciting. No, we can't have that. We need tires that degrade. And Texas, can't we let them test there more than once? Like one test? I know we're trying to be affordable IndyCar, but for crying out loud, this is the safety of your drivers. Like, they tried one tire, that didn't work, so we'll try and come up with something else, not test it until the frickin' Friday before the race. Indy was a great race. Take out the crashes. It was great racing without being a pack race, and that's what it should be. We don't need pack racing. I don't need to sit there and stress about these guys' lives. I don't want to do that. I don't think any fan wants to do that because it's like I don't want to see someone die in the next 20 minutes, and it's legitimately what could happen. And honestly, that accident Tony Kanaan caused, he dodged a bullet, literally. It's too risky. We hardly have anyone there anyway. So maybe consider doing that if we get the money up, basically make the race more worthwhile for the drivers at least. Have 100,000 fans at every oval race. Let's have massive winnings for every race again, and then maybe think about it. But until then, let's cut it out. Please comment. Tell us what you think of the podcast, etc. You know the drill. No one's done it, but I think you know the drill. So thank you very much, and we'll talk to you next time.